because I was on a visitor visa, there was a question, if we want to stay together, we have to either, get married, because we can't go every 6 months back and forth. And that's what we did.
Hey, when a divorced Jewish guy goes to live in Germany, I met her older sister, Minna, and she goes, so what's it feel like to be Jew?
Take a girl and a guy, and they fall madly in love and form a family. Sprinkle in some counseling degrees and a doctorate, a dream of transforming relationships as we know it. And 20 years later, we give you power couple Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. And this is their podcast, Couples Synergy.
Welcome back to another episode of Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean. I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Jean. And this is our podcast about love, marriage, and relationships.
Be sure to check us out online on our Facebook page and Instagram at Couple Synergy, or our website, couplesynergy.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast or send us any suggestions on topics you'd like to hear more about. And now on to Couple Synergy, an in-depth look at love, marriage, and relationships, where we bring you our experience helping thousands of couples transform their relationships for nearly 20 years.
Every day we get to hear intimate details about a couple's celebrations, disappointments, and everyday challenges. We've often wished these stories were shared because we know we are more similar than different. So we've created not only an avenue where you can hear about people's intimate lives, but an atmosphere where people come over to our home pub, pour a drink, and share their stories.
People like today's guests, Michael and Stefanie, thank you so much for joining us on our podcast today.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
And you guys are coming to us remotely from Austin. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Awesome. Well, before we get into your story, why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves? How old are you? What do you do for a living? And how long have you been together?
Okay, I'm Stefanie, and I'm 53, almost 54. And what was it? Oh, I'm a teacher's assistant in the elementary school where David and Moritz, our kids, went to. And I'm doing this now almost 18 years.
Great.
Working in special education, helping kids learn.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I'm originally from Germany. I'm out of a family of 10, and I'm number 10.
Wow.
And I have a twin sister. So my parents had 8 kids, and then 2.5 years later, she got pregnant again, and it was 2 instead of just 1.
She's lucky at the end there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Eugenie probably thought, who 1 more, 2 more, who cares? After 8, it doesn't make a difference anymore, I would think. Different times. So
I'm Michael, and I'm going to be 62 this year. And Stefanie and I met in Germany when I went to a friend's invited me to go to his bakery to go work outside of Paderborn in Hüvelhof. So it's in the northwest part of Germany where the beer is really good and the bread is great. And, it's like farm country, sort of, more.
Like not Paderborn.
Yeah, it's like living in Wisconsin, I would say. Cold in the morning, not real long summers, but nice. We met at a disco. Like while I was working, you go to work at 2:33 in the morning, and you're done by noon. And then by 3 o'clock, if you don't take a nap to go out that night, which usually happen, we would go out and drink because that's all they did. Similar. And then we went to after we were through at the bar, we went to a disco.
Okay.
What year was that?
And then
What year? 89.
And you were studying in Germany. You're baking.
Yeah.
Is that what you do now currently?
Now I have we still bake, but I have a small little chain of pizza restaurants in Austin.
Eastside Pies.
Eastside Pies.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We bake still, and I'm at home learning about sourdough and doing breads and bagels and.
Yeah, that's the problem when you want to lose weight because the fresh bread is right out of the oven. Oh God, yeah.
I'm working on fermented stuff. So, sourdough is fermented. I'm making my own yeast. I'm doing canning or jarring or whatever they call it now. Veggies from our garden. And, we have a nice big yard with a lot of veggies and, friends with farmers from work. So it all just sort of worked together.
Right. And the funny thing is, how we met is because Thomas is Michael's friend. Thomas worked in Houston.
In Dallas.
In
Texas.
And Texas, whatever, it doesn't make a difference. And my sister at this time, she studied in Italy. And when she comes on vacation, we would go out first, the same thing. First the bar closes, you go dancing. And I knew Thomas's brother better, Andreas. And then you just get together, and that's where we start talking to each other.
Now, Michael, did you speak German?
Ein bisschen.
Yeah, but, bisschen, but I mean, my English wasn't great either, so it's a perfect match there.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's fun. I'm just getting to talk and dance a little bit too. And then 2 weeks later, on accident, I met him in one of the bars.
I might like that.
Yeah, I don't know. And I remember that. And just from there, from there, we just met up a couple times. And then he cooked for me once. That was it.
Yeah,
I thought, I better catch this guy. Somebody cooking.
Yeah, the Hegeman Bakery, which at the time was really popular in the area.
Hegeman? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was popular, and it was like in its zenith, where it's been open for 25 years, and now the kids are sort of running it, and I got to work there. I mean, I was 30 years old. Yeah, I think I was just turning 30 that year. 88. No, I was 30 going on 31.
39.
30.
Yeah, but you were, it was
89.
Whatever, yeah, 89.
Anyway, I was going to be 31 in October. It was my grandma's 80th birthday, and I had to come home.
What was it about each other that you fell in love with?
Well, I mean, it has to start with the way she looked, right? I mean, there has to be some, how do you guys get together? You look at each other, and then you talk, and, as long as you don't talk like you're an idiot,
Okay, I have to say the first one, in the disco, I'm like, he doesn't talk too much stupid stuff. That's true. That's what I thought. No, it really was. Yeah, but we just got along really well. I would say, like when he picked me up to go out, he would open the door. That's not very often either that anybody opens the door for you. I mean, cooking.
So and then it was his chivalry?
Chivalry, yes.
And we were actually just, maybe 6 weeks, 7 weeks together. And then you went back to America.
Florida. I went to Miami.
And so we were
6 months.
I finished my college in Germany first. And then we talked a lot. We wrote letters a lot during that time. And then in January, February, I finished my college. And then I flew to Miami, and we stayed there until we got married.
In December.
How many months were you apart?
6-7 months.
How was that for both of you?
It was fine.
A lot of high phone bill. Sure. Back then, it was like, you have to find, I think it was MCI or something. I mean, it was like $1 a minute.
Wow.
And you have to work half a week just to pay for the bill.
And you stayed with Carol?
Yeah.
At that time? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I was staying at Carol's. Right. They were in Daytona, and I was living at their house. And I worked at Gene's Catering.
Yeah, and then I came to America, and he picked me up from the airport and right away we went right away to visit Carol, in Miami, and there were everybody. I'm like, my English wasn't so super good at that time.
And for our listeners, Carol is your aunt, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And so Stefanie, when you came to the U.S. at that time, was the plan for you to be here for good?
No, we just was more like checking it out. I mean, we went for 6-7 months, long distance kind of deal, and just hanging out and playing tennis a lot. And I came here to learn English.
You went to school?
No, I went to in Lingua, little commercial there.
Miami was so much fun.
Yes.
We had the best time.
Yes. And then we were together there for like 10 months, and then because I was on a visitor visa, there was a question, if we want to stay together, we have to either, get married, because we can't go every 6 months back and forth. And that's what we did. And my mother, 3 of my sisters came, and my sister with her baby, Angelica, came and stayed with us. So,
was your age difference an issue for either of you?
No. I mean, it's 8 years age difference.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, ours is 7.
Yeah.
Sometimes
7, 6,
something
7, something like that.
in the opposite direction.
Right. When did your family meet Michael?
Michael, okay, the first time that my mother, because at that time, when we met, I lived still with my mother, and that was pretty funny, because the first time my mother met him, did she come in and he was sleeping on the sofa
in the family room?
Yeah, not family, living room, and yeah. First of all, he looked already much older because he didn't have hair on his head, and his pants were ripped. And no, but I mean,
hey, I still have the same pants on.
No, yes, new one still holds.
So she thought you were like a homeless guy or something, like sleeping in her living room.
But he set up. I mean, he polite for sure. So she was okay. I mean, what can she say? I mean, I was 22, 23. Naturally, she was like, oh, God, this old dude.
30 years later.
Yes. No, but, she loves you now, for sure.
Yeah. How did you guys decide which country to live in?
So, your mother.
Boy.
No, I mean, I think it had also something to do that Michael always wanted a business. It took him a while, but always wanted a business, and it seems to be easier to open up a business here in America. In Germany, you have to have a master's degree to open a business.
Really?
I don't know how it is now, but at that time, 30 years ago, you cannot just have money and open up something. You have to have an education to do that.
Wow, I did not know that.
So, I mean, I don't know how it is now. I would say that
it's the same still. You have to have, to open a bakery, you have to have a master baker. To have a pastry shop in the bakery, you have to have a master pastry chef in the bakery. Up front in the section that you sell, you have to have a master verkäufer. And then you have to have a bookkeeper that is like a master bookkeeper.
But you have, if you know what to do, you don't have to.
I don't know about that part now, but I do know that's the only way you're going to get money from a bank or anyone's going to rent to you is if you have to have all these things and you have to have a business plan. You can't just have an idea. They have to know that you know what you're doing.
You can't just have a cellar filled out, like a bar and open up your little cup there.
It's different. I think than here with that. So here you could be anything and then tomorrow be something else.
Do you guys have an engagement story?
Engagement? We don't have it. No. What do you mean engagement?
Well, we had to get married. Like if there was a reason to get married, her being from Germany and me being from here, and how are we going to stay together? We
You know what? But there's one thing. I mean, we in Paderborn, I don't know, we were at some kind of party in the opera thingy there, what we have there. And Michael, I remember that Michael had asked me there. I mean, we were just girlfriend, boyfriend, but Michael said something like, I want you to be the mother of my children.
Wow.
And that, I remember that. And I thought, I can see that, being that. But that was just in between. I don't know. Maybe we were too drunk or whatever, that I thought, oh, okay.
So your proposal, was there anything formal about that?
Okay, the proposal as of proposal, I would say there was when you picked me up from the airport and you said, we were on the way to Grand Marlin and I don't know who, and you said I would marry from right now, and I remember saying, wait a second, let's hold on here. I just arrived, something in that direction, and it took like 10 months.
Hey, she still gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, but there wasn't definitely saying, "Oh, Stefanie, do you want to get married?" I mean, no,
I'm not that guy.
And I got my Anführungsstriche engagement ring on our 25th anniversary. I never had an engagement ring before. So, and I thought at that time, 25th, I thought, okay, I'm turning 50 and 25 years, we can spend some money. That's okay.
Worth it.
So it was just kind of a verbal agreement then. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
More like, if we want to stay together, then we have to get married. That's our love.
Yeah, practical. Obviously, it's not a matter of convenience. I mean, even if it is, because this is the only way we're going to be able to stay together.
Truly, is it a convenience?
Well, I mean, for us it was. Yeah. From outside looking at us, it's a lot different. My uncle's a lawyer, which and what do we do? Here's a name of an attorney I know. So you call him up, and he goes, "Well, it's going to be about $10,000," and I'm just going, "Yeah, right."
What
to go become an image? You can do this yourself.
Okay, that's a different story.
Right, but we called someone, and they said it was a lot of money to get. If we got married in the United States for immigration to get your green card, we went to Germany when Stefanie went back for college.
No, that was to do the apprenticeship or whatever.
Right, but that was when we filed in Frankfurt at the army base, or at the consul general in Germany. In Frankfurt, we went there and filled out the paperwork, and when we were done, it was $300.
No, the funny thing
4 months later, she had a green card.
Oh wow!
No, the thing is with that is also that if we had the paperwork, we paid $60 for every stupid form, right? Something like this. And they said, if you make a mistake, you have to buy a new form. In Germany, we went to the consulate and we had made a mistake, and they went, tuk, 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 whited it out and wrote it over it.
So doing the immigration process on the German side was much easier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
I don't know what it is now. I mean, I'm sure
I don't know.
It's got to be impossible.
I don't know if you have to pay for the forms there. That I don't know. Because we had first planned to do this in Miami. So we paid for all these forms and filled it out. But to actually go through with it, there you said, and you can see this here too, that you have to have a lawyer and blah, 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 blah.
They won't let you do it yourself.
No, and we decided then to do this in Germany. Since I had to go back anyways to do this apprenticeship, or what do you call it? When you college and then the
externship.
Okay. Yeah.
So how do you guys go from Miami to Texas?
In a car.
No, we stayed for a year in Cologne, where I worked and Michael worked, and you went to German school there, and just hung out and having fun with your friends and whatever. And
I got to work in.
Yeah, and then we went back to Miami for another year, And then that was before, and then we left, or we had it all decided already to go back, go here to Austin.
Thomas was here.
Thomas, because Thomas said he has a job and
you should come here and make a family here.
Something in that direction.
So,
and then
he was married. And then the Hurricane Andrew hit, and we had already packed everything up in our little apartment on Normandy Isle. So we're on the beach. We're about a mile from the beach, 63rd. I don't know if you're familiar with Miami, but it's not South Beach, but close.
Close, yeah.
A bus ride away. We rented U-Haul and then stayed at Carol's for the hurricane. Right after the hurricane, we packed it. We just got the truck and left, and it was devastating. Looking at it was unbelievable.
The damage.
Oh my God! All the way, and then we hit it again when we hit Heidel. So right outside of New Orleans, coming into Texas, it hit there right before we got there, and it was something. We never left. We moved here, and within a year,
David was born, and we had moved. Then we moved here to this house we're in now. We are in this house now 25 years.
Wow.
So,
How was it adjusting to having kids?
There was no problem. There was no adjusting, really. I mean,
it was the next step.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think when David was like a little bit over 2 years, or around 2 years, we decided to have another one. So, and here we are, 2 grown boys.
One in Cologne, and with his engineering degree, going for mechanical masters in something. He's going to work at Rolex. Or
that is a thought. He's going to do that's an apprenticeship for 3 years. He thought he can just to learn the language and do something with his hands. He thought since with this going to college is going to be not so easy as he thought. So maybe he can do this first, just hanging out.
And so your kids have dual citizenship?
Yes, that we did right away.
Yeah.
So, yes.
What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that the two of you have faced together?
I think for me, the challenge is that he has his own timeline, that he says, really is. He says, I have to go to work in an hour or whatever, or in 20 minutes, and he's still there in 3 hours, after 3 hours. I mean, that's a big challenge. Or, we have it now, yes. Or if we are supposed to be somewhere, I gave up on that as of being on time. But that's me. I love being on time or a little bit early.
I'm better at it now. I'm closer. What? It is a matter of understanding. Again, it's like wearing the mask. You're protecting other people, not just yourself. The time, sometimes it hits you in different ways. Like the time. Well, I'm being inconsiderate of other people's time because we say we're going to be somewhere and we're not. It took me till I'm about 60 years old before I... like something hit me and I'm going, wow. And it was pretty recent.
Yeah.
That I'm trying to be on time. I'm still never going to wear a watch.
I wonder if that's why David wants to work for Rolex.
Moritz.
Moritz. Sorry.
That's a funny thing. Because
Moritz is not like me at all.
So that's the funny thing. It is. I really think David is like Michael. Like, he has his time, he's, easier going. Where Moritz is more just like me, I do this, I'm saying I'm doing this, I'm doing it at this time. Yeah, what would be another challenge what we're having? It's funny when you ask it, it's hard to think about it, but if you're by yourself, you're thinking like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I hope not. I mean, you know what? Just being able to compromise and not feeling, like I know that Stefanie says, I always get my way because I am as persistent about something that I want
because
over and over and over. And you know where I saw that is I have a friend that does it to me.
Who's this?
JW.
Oh, yeah. No,
and I'm going, oh my God, this is insane.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm going, okay, so this is another thing that, you know what? It would be great. I can't blame anybody for any of my shortcomings. That's for sure.
No,
but just to see the fact that there, you know, the compromising was never a problem. If you...
No, that's true.
Yeah.
The compromising.
Yeah, we just, you know, do it. You know, look, I've never been on a motorbike because I told my mom I wouldn't. She said she's never going to die. So I never even have a chance to be on a motorbike.
But that's utopic thinking.
Yeah,
that's
but
a big thing.
But anyways, I mean, there are, you know, things that...
And I think it's still once in a while also the language. I mean, okay, now I'm pretty good in it, for sure. But at the beginning, it for sure was the language, even if it didn't really feel like it. Because, I mean, I asked a friend of mine, you know, if she had trouble at the beginning understanding me, she's like, yeah. And you always would say, okay, no problem.
So the language barrier in the beginning was maybe a little bit of a challenge. How about any cultural, like shifting the culture? Was there any cultural challenges that you guys ran into?
Hey, when a divorced Jewish guy goes to live in Germany, I'm the first one in my family that went well, I know, but went to Germany.
Wow.
And after I went there, now some cousins started doing business there again. You know, like, oh, you're not dead. You know, so I met her older sister, Minna, and she goes, you know, like, there's crazy stuff. So what's it feel like to be Jew? Like,
that's one of the first things she asked you.
Yeah.
But she is a filmmaker, and makes movies, so she asked.
Yeah, but she was new then. She just got through coming. She just came back from Australia when I met her.
But you know, she's.
But you know, like, what's cool is that her whole family, Stefanie's family, is great, and then all the dudes that they married into or people, everyone is. Like, I'm going to say normal, whatever normal is. Is there you know, we're not normal here, I think. And my family, I didn't realize, I mean, it's not just my family. All the Italian families that I knew that in Highwood, Highland Park, in Jewish, more, they were a little snobbier. I mean, for me, why I didn't want to stay up there. I wanted to be free of all that stuff. And it doesn't make a difference where you go. In Germany, it's the same. In the same thing, you know, the same kind of, the people that are up front in church are the same people that are up front in church here.
Right.
Right.
You know, I mean, just this is how it is. I don't know how it would be in a mosque at all because I have never really participated, but in churches, 3 or 4 different kinds of churches, same thing.
Stefanie, did you have a different religious background?
Yeah, I'm Catholic, and he's Jewish. So I mean, the holidays and stuff. I mean, the kids had good. They had Hanukkah and they had Christmas, and I would say that they know about it mostly because I made sure that they understand. You know, Hanukkah is not just presents. I mean, there's something behind it. It's, you know, that's what I would say. I mean, I tried a couple years when they were smaller to go to church. I mean, I don't go to church just for Christmas because the decoration is nice and stuff, but Michael never went with me. So, I mean, you know.
Well, was that ever an issue for your family that Michael was a different religious background?
No, I wouldn't say so. No, I don't think so. Not my
not
my
not in my family either. And Stefanie's older brother, Christian, married a German, but she's Israeli.
Yeah, I think so.
Jew.
Yes.
Stefanie, can you share about your experience with menopause? Since you started, I love the topic, the title of your Facebook group.
Isn't it? I thought, you know what? I think it's. I started this, not that they're. I mean, I'm sharing mostly, but that's fine. You know, when I feel like saying something. feeling. No, I mean, menopause is tough, 100%. You're really looking at your relationship too, as of, and he doesn't know anything yet, but it's coming. That you're constantly hot, and then you're cold and hot, and I mean, I'm keeping it pretty good emotionally together, but I think that has also something to do that you anxious. But I'm taking something for that. But I'm taking this off because I need to know what the real me at this time is. I have, at school, a lot of stress, and that doesn't work well. Then I don't, I have problems with my thyroid. I don't have a thyroid anymore. So I never know. See, that's the funny thing is because I thought when my thyroid medicine is off, and beforehand, I always thought if this is menopause, I can only say, better watch out, because it is very, very difficult to keep yourself back, because on the other side, you just want to, tell everybody off or you're emotional or whatever. And I'm, this quarantine where we all have to do, I think this is a perfect time actually for me to get off all this medication, whatever, the calm down, and also which helps you with the hot flashes, to just really finding myself as of what I want, how I feel. I want to open this up. I want to see this, what it is, because it's stressful. It's a lot of stress. I mean, I had a hysterectomy, like, what is it, 15, 20 years ago. So, I mean, there's not even the question about, with the periods and stuff.
It really changes your thinking.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything comes up for healing. That's why you call your group Boiling Women. Just hilarious. And that, that's what I've been feeling too. Like it just all boils up,
Boiling, but it's boiling here, boiling, with the sweating and stuff. And I believe it's difficult for men to understand that, because I mean, last weekend or whatever, Michael and I went for a walk and asked him, so have you ever really thought about, but with men, they always say midlife crisis, right? I mean, was this a big thing for you or no? Are you, you said you don't think you had that. Now, yeah, ask me, I would think, yes, you did. But because, I mean, they do think men get maybe crazy things. And you had that around your 50s, I would say.
There's definitely a huge shift that happens for couples later on, right around we're empty nesters, right around this time. Right. And, whether it be physical, as far as like the physical symptoms of menopause, or emotional and mental, the midlife crisis for men, I think, I know for myself, you kind of take a look at the past and you take a look at the future, or what you thought the future was going to be. And now you start to think about, well, what do you really want? Right. And instead of trying to live life for other people and other expectations, now it's, what do I want for my life? And what am I going to put my energy towards?
Isn't that when you're, 10, 11, 12, 13, isn't that how we were then?
What?
And before we got married, before we had a relationship with anyone?
Yeah, I think you have right, me, right.
Yeah.
But I think at that time it's more like a fantasy.
It's what? It's not. It's a different me.
Yeah, of course it is. You're now 55 instead of 15.
Yes, but
you have a lot of experiences behind you, and yeah.
But I think it's a different. For sure, it's going to be naturally a different challenge. Because now you're going to have to work with and against, I hope more with, but, all the things what you have built up also during the whole marriage. Because now you're for me, I would say, you during this whole time, you paid attention to the children. You paid attention very much to the husband too. And I remember, when I lived with my mother, my father died when we were 17, and I lived with her. And what I want to, for me, is the thing, what I do is Michael makes one noise and I go, oh, are you okay? Or what are you doing? Or, this is tough because I did this with my mother too. Every time she just, okay, it was a hard time for her too because, she lost her husband of 33. I think they were married 33 years. But I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a way that we're designed.
Stop just always, I need, not that I need to know because, it's more like there's a noise and you have to check on how are you doing. And it's clear nothing is happening, but, it's
that maternal instinct.
Yes.
I think it becomes a more pronounced, like you just kind of did it automatically until menopause, and then you hit menopause and it becomes very irritating that you're so constantly distracted by out there,
Right.
And you don't want it. You want to get to know you and not be so worried about what someone else is doing.
Right. And I'm very focused on that anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just, getting to the point where I want to do something for myself. That is, the workout, going to work out, and I don't want to wait for anybody anymore because that drives me nuts. So that is just, I don't want to do that anymore.
There's a Jungian concept called the morning of life and the afternoon of life. I don't know if you want to explain it.
So the morning of life is our domestication, everything we've learned. And some people never get out of the morning of life. They never grow beyond their domestication, what they've learned, who they were told to be. But some people go through a shift, and it can happen at any age. It can happen because maybe you go through a loss or menopause or an illness or something, and you get into this afternoon of life. And the afternoon of life is what you want and you becoming the creator of your life. And they say that what's true in the morning of life is no longer true in the afternoon of life. And what's true in the afternoon of life was not true in the morning of life. So in the morning of life, you're taught to hold someone's hand across the street. Right? But in the afternoon of life, you don't go find someone's hand because that's inside of you,
right.
what you didn't have back then. And so have you found that type of a shift?
I am going over the bridge, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
How
has that impacted your guys' relationship?
Right now, not yet. Like I said, we are at the beginning of the bridge and you have to be brave. I think that has something to do with braveness because it will shift the relationship. And I would just say that is, and I think we will go through this well. Like I said, keeping all this still to myself. That's what's happening right now because, that's one reason why I didn't want to go to Germany this summer because I had planned. I'm on this calm me down tablets and whatever. And I had thought, I need to find this the right way. And if it comes with a storm, then we just will have to ride it out together. Even if he doesn't know about it
yet. Is this coming as a surprise to you right now, Michael?
Hey, no.
A little bit here or there. It's, that's the thing. He knows that.
I'm paying, obviously, being in this locked up together, we're not really, but being at home a lot, you feel stuff, but we still have our alone time, and I have a business to run. Like an escape. I need to, she needs her time. I need we've always
but that's not easy for you either because I have to do this online trainings, where I show the school district that I'm still doing something at home. And it's not easy because he likes to talk, right? So, and that's a new thing too, that you have to go to in your room now to do your thing. And so that's a new thing for you too.
Yeah.
because usually, you go to work and then you come back and then spend some time. But now he has to learn or realize that I have to have my own time. You cannot come and talk to me because I'm supposed to pay attention to what I'm doing there, right?
Yeah, every couple is kind of adjusting to this in a very unique and different way because our routines are all disrupted. And so couples are spending more time with each other. And for those that weren't spending a lot of time before, it is a little awkward and it's hard for them to adjust to it. Right. And just our work schedules have completely changed.
Right.
Except for you guys.
Our work schedules have changed, also just in the way that like when we're doing a lot of virtual sessions. So we first started with this lockdown doing virtual sessions from home. And we found that to be pretty draining because you would get up and you would go and put a load of dishes in the dishwasher, and then you come back and you go to work, and then you figure out what you're going to eat, and so there's just blending of home life and work life, and we didn't have the commute. When you have a commute, then you kind of put on your work hat, and then when you commute back home, you take your work hat off. And so there's this distinction between work and home, and I think that's a lot of people are experiencing that blending, and so it becomes a lot more a longer day, and they feel a lot more stress.
I would say so too.
And I find the day so short. I mean, it's for me, that there isn't enough time in the day still. I wish it was longer.
Yeah, because you have your own timeline, because you move here, a little bit there, a little bit there,
I
a little bit there.
It's a lot of hobbies.
That's my... Yeah, but my mother said the same thing when she visited. Michael starts here a little bit, and then starts here a little bit, there a little bit, there a little bit, and then at the end, yes, somewhere it's going to be all finished. But he's just a bouncy ball, a little bit here, a little bit there. Then he says he's finished, or he wants to go somewhere. Oh, no. He comes. I talked to a friend yesterday, and I said, Michael is going to work. Usually when he leaves, then I lock the door in the front. But I think he came back 3 times because he forgot something. He goes out of the house, sits in the car, realizes, I don't have my keys. Stuff like this. I can tell you exactly. It takes at least 2-3 times before I can lock the door and make sure that I'm safe in the house. Yeah.
It's interesting what you were saying about, keeping things to yourself and not talking about it. I find myself doing the same thing. Whereas I was sharing a lot more before, it kind of gets, you don't want to share because it's you want your own feelings and your own process of things. And so if he's doing this and this and you were like, what? That I can see how that would drive you crazy.
Yeah.
And now you can just focus more on yourself.
Oh, that's the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Each other understand.
It was great for a while. We got to go, Thomas was staying here outside, and we would go play pool a lot to get out of the house. So that was something. Being on a schedule, which I'm not, I fix stuff. So I go to all 3 stores and see what's messed up and make sure that to keep that train coming. It's a lot of pieces to try and get all this organized. But we do have some really good help, or I do, or, these like pies anyways. So it makes it a little bit easier where I don't have to be there. I'm not going to stand there with 15, 20-year-olds. There's just no way.
Yeah.
I don't want to get sick. Even if they're all masked and, just the fear of there is something that I don't really feel, but I do. It's always on my mind. Getting in the car, washing my hands off with sanitizer, taking the mask off by this. This is all new.
How do you guys approach conflict in your relationship?
It explodes and then it's okay. Conflict. It's coming up and then it's going away.
We talk about it most of the time.
but I talk, it's like I said, it explodes. You get upset with each other, and then you just have to keep each other, stay away from a little bit, and then it's going to be okay. I mean, it's not a law. I would not. What do you call that?
No grudge.
Yeah, no.
None of that.
So it resolves quickly for the two of you.
Yeah.
How is your relationship similar or different from your parents?
My dad deaf.
Was hat denn damit was damit zu tun?
Because my mom yells.
The relation, everybody yells at your family. I mean, that's another thing I realized. And it was not just me. My mother would have said the same thing. Why are they yelling at each other? And when my English wasn't good yet, I'm thinking they're not talking; they're just yelling. But that's just the way it is. Because when they talk, and it gets louder and louder and louder and louder, and I'm right with it now too. That when I go to Germany, that people say, "Can you lower your voice?" Like, yeah, but that's just the way it is. You adjust to what's going on. But this is a different.
No,
think about the question he just.
My parents.
Is our relationship similar or different from our parents?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I only know your mom. I never met them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but you talk about your family, your parents.
My parents are, I don't know, they were neither one of them went to college, but they're both highly educated. They read everything. They are able to get along with people, I think, better than me, without a doubt. I mean, my dad is very diplomatic, but the way that they get along with each other, they do the resolve conflict thing. They'll yell, and then it's normal after that. And even still, I would say, I mean, just listening to them talk with you guys, they did it 5 times.
You guys talked 5 times with them already?
No. They, during the time that they talked.
What?
They bicker.
Yell at each other.
Oh, okay. All right.
And to the outside, wow, look at this. They're crazy. How are they
crazy.
How they still get along? But maybe that's just another way of doing it. I mean, I don't know, you have to feel some warmth in that, that resolution, how they resolve stuff. It's not like they're going to call their friend for an opinion right then, but they do, sometimes. I remember growing up, well, I'm going to call Marcia and get her opinion on this. And then, okay. And then Marvin will just shut up, and capitulate, or he'll call Jerry or Bert or whoever. And yeah, I mean, I remember that kind of stuff, and they would always be fine at the end of the day.
My parents, I mean, I was little, so I don't really remember ever them fighting. But I think they more did this then behind the doors when they took naps. They did Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays were nap time for them. Everyone, they would take a nap. I guess then they would talk about that, or they would take walks on the weekends where they can discuss things. My mother has had the money under her. He would work, but he was a very present man. This is authoritarian. Yeah. I mean, we knew that he's the head of the house. Let's say it like this. Even if he needed money, he would go to my mother's portemonnaie money thing, and then would say, "Honey, I took $20." Or before they went out for dinner, because naturally he would likes to be the one who pays for things, right? But that he would just go and get the money from my mother out of her thing. But,
I mean, definitely grew up in a family with 10 people and my family with 2. Food was never an issue for us.
It never was an issue with I mean, you just try to get as fast as much as possible.
That's what I mean. There wasn't any of that. There was that was something I learned when I went there. I was watching their family eat together. You know, they would pass, it was all family style, sort of. You were the last one in line, and there's only one piece left. That's it. Everyone else got 3 or 4.
But being polite, it's not grabbing or anything. No. Well, I mean, growing up, we were allowed to have 2 pieces of fruit a day. And if you were, unlucky, you may just got 1 or none because somebody else ate your part.
I've heard Jean tell stories about that too.
Or hiding your fruit. You go and get an apple or whatever, and then you taking the second one and try to hide it. There's not many places to hide it in the cupboard or whatever.
So that's 20 pieces of fruit a day.
Huh?
20 pieces of fruit a day per person. Like for all you guys. That's a lot of fruit.
So, yeah. So, but,
It's about 2 pieces.
So this is, each of us are allowed to have
2
like
pieces.
2 apples.
Yeah, so 10 people times 2.
Yeah.
It's 20 pieces of fruit a day. That's a lot.
I mean, you have to think about it. My mother would go shopping pretty much every day, go to Costco. That is a 1-day deal, kind of. I mean, plus minus whatever. Yes.
Yeah, it does. It affects your eating. It's an interesting thing. We had a lazy Susan in the middle of our table.
Yeah.
And my mom would put all the food in there, and then we'd pray, and you're eyeballing as you're praying.
Yes, exactly.
And then it spins, and if you don't grab.
No, but the funny thing or the lucky thing is with us, we had this big table, and the little ones, my twin sister and I, would sit next to each other, Mom on the head of the table, then the little ones, so Ulla and I were sitting there. So we got one of the first, we got some. Then my father, and then it went around whoever was there. So if you are at the end of the line, you're always getting the scraps. And what my oldest sister would say is if it was her turn to, serve herself, she said, and she still does that she made sure that she took enough right the first time that she has enough food, because there's seldom that you get a second round. So her plate was always then big, and I think pretty much everybody did that.
So last question, what is it that your partner does that they love you?
I mean, cooking for sure. I love when he washes my hair. Yeah, what else?
Clean. I don't know. Take care of stuff. Stuff that we, like we pay our bills. Everything is set to automatic.
Yeah. No, but what the question is, what do I do? What shows you that I love you? That is what the question is.
Oh, I thought we were...
That's not so easy, because you're thinking everything is so normal, or it should happen or whatever. But what does it tells you that?
Well, that you appreciate. You always say thank you for everything that I do for you.
Yeah, and that makes you feel loved.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. That's. Yeah, no, I mean the cooking for sure. Then you bring me flowers. I like that. Oh, crazy presents sometimes, even funny presents. I love out of the frame presents.
What is the best dish that he's cooked you?
Best dish? That is difficult because I pretty much eat anything. But I can tell you what first dish he cooked for me ever was this chicken with the cheese inside. I don't even know what's it called, but
chicken Kiev.
So I remember that. And that's a long time ago.
Okay. Well, Michael and Stefanie, want to thank you so much for being on our podcast today.
Thank you for letting us talk too.
Yeah, thanks.
And it was fun.
I enjoyed that you asked about the menopause, because I think out there, ladies, it's tough.
Yeah, it is.
And you need to open up and let you guys know what's going on, because that's the problem also. that we women then not open up. We just eat it all in and trying to keep it all calm and whatever. And that's is very hard on ourselves.
And now it comes boiling out.
That's right. Pre in and out thing. Yes, that's right. The boiling girls. Right.
We want to wholeheartedly thank you both, and also thank all of our listeners for joining us today on Couples Synergy. Our passion is in helping couples and people have happy and healthy relationships, and this podcast gives us a fun way of bringing our knowledge and expertise to you, our listeners.
Sharing stories has been happening since the beginning of time, to learn, to heal, to grow. And we hope that by you guys sharing your story, it's enriched your life and the lives of our listeners.
For all of you listening, please subscribe to our podcast and please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you have any questions, comments, or topic suggestions, please email us at contact@couplesynergy.com. For more information about Couple Synergy and our programs such as Relationship 101, the Couples Weekend Intensive that's scheduled for this October, and our premier program called Couple to Couple, look us up online at couplesynergy.com.
And if you know someone who could benefit from this episode, please download it and share it. And thank you for listening.
Until next time, synergize your life and synergize your love.
You have been listening to Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean Kedkodian. Couple Synergy was recorded, edited, and produced by Dr. Ray and Jean Kedkodian. Voiceover and music entitled Breathe and Let Go was recorded and composed by Gina Gonzalez.